Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Cook. I am the Career Readiness Coordinator here at SC Works Midlands in the Columbia office. I facilitate our career readiness workshops virtually and in person. You can visit our website, scworksmidlands.org/workshops for a full calendar of workshops and events that we have virtually and in the center. But today I'm going to do a How to Rock a Job Fair workshop. I'm just going to be going over some tips and tricks for how to prepare and how to perform during a job fair. So like I said, I usually facilitate 3 to 5 of these career readiness workshops a month. So feel free to come by the Columbia office and join those in person or join me virtually. There are directions for how to join on the website, and I'm going to link that below so that you can easily just visit from the description box. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in and get started. Like I said, we're going to be talking about how to rock a job fair. So anyone that has ever been on a career journey, you may have at one point attended a job fair or a career fair. It's really the same thing, but it's where a group of hiring employers kind of get together and give very brief kind of one-on-one interviews or maybe just a quick conversation. Sometimes they're really just there to hand out applications or information about the company and the positions that are open. But it's a really great way to begin networking and applying for positions that you may be interested in. It's really helpful because it's usually an in-person event, so you get to meet people and make those connections and make good impressions. We're going to talk about how important those first impressions are today and how you can make them extra special so that you stand out from the rest of the crowd. Right now, due to COVID, of course, a lot of job fairs and career fairs are online. I would still say take all of these same tips and advice and just apply that to your online setting. But we can go ahead and jump into our presentation today. Understanding a job fair. I kind of just went over this, but it's just an event where employers, recruiters, and schools can give information to potential employees. Job seekers attend these and try to make the best impression that they can to potential coworkers and, of course, supervisors by speaking face-to-face with one another. It's also where you can fill out job applications and turn in resumes and ask some important questions. So here are some tips for what to do beforehand, how to prepare to attend a job fair. A lot of job and career fairs require for you to first register for the event. Usually you'll do that online, maybe in person, but usually there is some kind of registration required. Not always. You may not have to register. You may be able to just attend, but it's important to first understand if you need to register or if you can just kind of walk in. You also need to research what employers are going to be there. So don't just kind of look through the list and be like, okay, I might be interested in a few of these, I'm going to go. I would say give each of those employers a quick Google search, learn about the company, and really try to narrow down what you're most interested in while you're there. It's also important to go ahead and update your resume. Make sure your resume is as up to date as possible. It lists all of your most important and applicable work experience as well as your skills. Just update it and make sure you print off a couple of copies. I would say always print extra, print a couple more than you think you may need. You may be handing out more than you think. Also, it's really important to think about what you're going to wear. I know that it's essential to kind of look like you fit the job. So whatever kind of position you're interested in, it's really important to dress for that position. So wear clothes that are appropriate for the job that you are seeking. Also, it's really essential to prepare your elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch is kind of where you're selling yourself, you're advertising yourself, you're letting that prospective employer know how you stand out from the competition and what is special about you. So this is kind of a quick formula for how to put together this elevator pitch. You want to make sure you're stating your full name first and last. Also, state the occupation or job that you are seeking. So this elevator pitch can change a bit depending on which employer you're speaking with. Also, it's super important to integrate your experience and skills into this statement. If you just say, my name is Elizabeth and I'm looking for a customer service role. Okay, a lot of people are, but what is making you stand out and what is making you special? Well, we can apply some of our skills and experience to make us stand out. I've written a little example right here, just a simple, brief example. My name is Elizabeth Cook, and I am looking to use my 7 years of customer service and managerial experience as a general manager in retail. Okay, we highlighted that we have 7 years of customer service and managerial experience. That will make you stand out. That lets us know, okay, she's qualified for this position. She's done this before. So really being able to integrate skills or experience, super important when you're putting together an elevator speech. Make sure you're highlighting what you think is most special about you and what will help you excel in the position that you are seeking. This is another really important tip, and that's to research the most common questions and practice your answers. So I've kind of provided a list right here of some common questions. Of course, this is only 4 questions. I would try to find a more extensive list if you are wanting to prepare for a job or career fair, but these are some good warm-up questions. And these are questions that are almost always going to be asked at a career fair, job fair, or any type of interview. If you are getting a one-on-one experience, there's a great chance that you may receive a few of these questions. It's important to go ahead and begin preparing and thinking about how you're going to answer these so that you're not caught off guard, you're not on the spot. Some of us do really well in that situation. We can kind of just pull it out of nowhere, out of thin air and come up with a great answer. But I think it's always best to be prepared and at least have some kind of idea. You don't have to write anything down and memorize it word for word, because that's going to put a lot of pressure on you to get your script right. Rather, just come up with an idea of what you're going to be saying and how you're going to be answering these questions. So here's our 4 examples. Can you tell me about yourself? Why is this a hard question? We know ourselves better than anyone, but usually when we're confronted with this question, sometimes we tend to stumble. A million things are going through our head, but we're not sure what the perfect answer is. So I think it's really important to think out what you want to highlight about yourself, what you want them to know. You want to offer your professional experiences, your professional skills, but also maybe put in a little bit of personal, because making those connections is important. It's important to kind of ride that line between what's too personal and what's just enough. Just a few key highlights about your personal life, I think, is a nice touch when you're answering this question. Can you tell me about your skills? I think it's helpful to kind of make a master list of what your skills are. Why do you want to work for us? This is going to change based on each employer. Another reason I mentioned, it can be very helpful to research each employer that's going to be present. That way it's easy to answer this question. You already know what you love about the company, what you like about the position. So answering why do you want to work for us should be a pretty simple task at that point. And then what are your career goals? Sometimes this can be a tricky one too. We want to make sure it's kind of aligning with that company. We want to make sure it's aligning with their goals as well. I'm not saying completely change your career goals, but definitely make it applicable to what that company is doing. Your career goals can kind of change based on what company you're working with, but still pretty much stay with that same train of thought, that same idea, and the same end goal. It just may change a bit with wording depending on the company. So here are some examples of questions that you can ask. Yes, it's important for you to ask questions as well. We are so used to being in interviews and believing that we're just answering questions the whole time. But it can be pretty impressive if you have a list of questions as well. It shows that you are interested. It shows that you're curious. It shows that you're eager. And here are some examples of great questions to ask that prospective employer. What challenges will the new hire in this position face? Of course, they're going to talk about the roles and the essential job duties of this position. But with every new position, there are always some challenges. Maybe it's just adapting to the position, or maybe it's the schedule. But this can be an important question to ask. Can you describe the perfect candidate for this position? Be careful when you ask this one. If they have already went over exactly what they're looking for and what kind of person they're looking for, don't ask this question. But if they were very brief on exactly what kind of person they need for this position, this can be a great question to ask. And then you can maybe highlight why you fit into that. How are you the perfect candidate? What does a typical day look like in this position? Again, this could have already been answered, or if you were just given brief details, it may not have been. So be careful with asking this one too. Make sure it's not already been covered. If you ask a question that they kind of already answered, it kind of shows that maybe you're not paying that much attention. Also, what do you like most about working for this company? I love this question. I always ask this question. It really shows that you're interested, you want to learn more, and you're asking them an opinion question, kind of. And usually people who, love the company they're working for and like their position, they're excited to talk about this. It can really be a great conversation starter to ask what they love the most about working for that company. And you're going to get some valuable information when you ask this about the company. And then you can ask, what is the next step? Can I arrange a job interview? This is great for career and job fairs. It's letting them know you are interested, you are eager, and you are ready to get something scheduled. Now, of course, they may not be able to schedule you for an interview right then. They are meeting a lot of people that day. So if you cannot schedule anything, just make sure that you leave with someone's contact information and that you have left your own contact information, which if you left your resume, then they should have everything that they need to reach out to you. Here are some questions to never ask during a job fair or career fair. Do not ask what the rate of pay is. They may even disclose that, in their informational packets or to you personally, but never ask. It kind of seems like you're coming with the wrong intentions. You're thinking more about compensation rather than trying to learn more about the company. Of course, compensation is important, but usually this is something that's asked maybe after the second job interview, or once there are, some, questions being asked and answered regarding pay. But you never want to lead out in a career fair or job fair with, what does the position pay? Of course, you can do your own research. You can use Glassdoor, or there's a few other websites that you can use to get an idea of what the median pay is for those positions. Or like I said, they may even just be very transparent, and they may have it on a flyer or in an informational packet what the positions usually pay. Also, tell me about your company. This may seem like it's a great question. It gets people talking, but it is not a good question to ask during a career or job fair. Why? Because it shows that you did no prior research. You want to exhibit that you've already looked at that mission statement and kind of talk about how your values align with that company's values. And hopefully they do. I doubt you would be very interested in working for a company if the values, morals, and ideas don't align very well. So it's great to highlight what you know about the company, but don't ask, tell me about your company. It's a bad question. We want to stay away from that one. All right, so let's talk about just making our plan. This is kind of what we are going to do the day of. So you should be thinking about what kind of plan you have put together before you arrive. And here's some tips on creating that plan. Arrive to the event early. Go ahead and get there before they're starting. Collect a list of employers. Take a little coffee break to yourself before you jump in. Of course, you don't want to be there too early. You don't want to be rushing to booths before they're even ready. I just think it's a good idea to be there early. Go ahead and grab the list of employers and start looking through those and getting an idea of where each employer is located at the event. Also, when you are beginning your go around at the career fair, I think it's important to begin by talking to your less desirable prospective jobs first. I think it's a way to get some practice in and go ahead and warm up with those less desirable companies, the ones you're maybe not quite as interested in. I think it's a good warm up. It gets you talking, it gets you comfortable. It kind of gets some of those nerves out of your system, but it's a little bit lower risk because these are not the companies that we are really there for, that we are most interested in. Once you have warmed up a bit, go ahead and move on to your top choices. I would say don't spend too much time with the less desirable perspectives. Because usually people tend to get a little tired and drained by the end of the day. So you don't want to be approaching your most desirable prospective employers right at 4 o'clock when everything's about to end. They have already met so many people. They are probably a little bit exhausted. So don't take too much time warming up. And that's another reason I think it's important to get there early rather than later. You have to introduce yourself in a friendly and professional manner. That's super important. That first impression, your elevator pitch, shake hands if you can. I know right now due to COVID, we can't really shake hands, but if this all ends, shake their hand if that has become acceptable again. And also focus on not making your conversations too long. You don't want to drag it out and take too much of their time. You definitely don't want to get into some really personal conversations on that first meeting. Sometimes we do meet people, we have a great connection, and you just get talking. And that's great. That's very important when you're networking and you're making these connections. But don't let it go on for too long. They have a lot of people to talk to. Take notes of important information. I think this is very key to any job or career fair. You want to be there with a notebook, a notepad, a folder, whatever it is, and a pen, because you're going to be given a lot of important info. A lot of it might be on flyers and handouts, but some of it may just be some oral information that you need to be jotting down. It also shows that you are dedicated. It also shows that you are very interested and that you're responsible. You're writing down this information because you know it's going to leave your head as soon as you leave that job fair. You received a lot of information that day. You're not going to be able to retain all of it for a very long period of time. So I think it's important to take notes. It looks good and it is helpful at the end of the day. Also, you can end by requesting an interview or follow-up conversation. That's kind of going back to those questions to ask. So, where do we go from here? What do I need to do moving forward to schedule an interview? Or can we have a follow-up conversation maybe next week? That shows that you're interested, that you're eager, but don't be too pushy with it. They may say, well, go ahead and put in your application and we'll reach out to you. All right, great. You need to go ahead and leave with that. Don't be super pushy, but it's definitely a great question to ask. And then what's going to make you stand out? It's that elevator pitch. It's really going to make you stand out from the rest of your competition. So really spend time perfecting that elevator pitch. Also perfecting your clothing of choice. Make sure you're looking great. Practice that elevator pitch. Make sure you're sounding great. Really, it's all about how prepared you were for that career fair is what's going to make you stand out. Did you already know information about each employer? Did you exhibit your skills? Did you exhibit your professionalism? Did you were dressed properly? Were you friendly? All of this is so important with first impressions. So keep all of that in mind when you're attending job fairs and career fairs. And I think if you take all of this into consideration, you make your plan, you prepare, I think you will be super successful at any job or career fair, and you may just turn it into a job offer. Because that's the goal, right? I hope that all of this information was helpful for you guys. Again, please feel free to join any of my virtual or in-person workshops. I love being able to interact with the participants. It's a little bit difficult to interact through a YouTube video, but please feel free to comment, leave any thoughts or ideas, or if you yourself have some tips about job fairs and career fairs, please feel free to leave those below. I would love to have a conversation in the comments about this. And again, I'm going to be linking our calendar in the description. So please feel free to click on that and look at the workshops that we have for this month, for May. I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful and successful month and a successful career search.